Jonathan Edwards. When I think of resolutions, the first person I think of is Jonathan Edwards. Anybody ever heard of Jonathan Edwards before? Not your neighbor, the one that lived in 1700s? Okay, so Jonathan Edwards is known as the greatest theologian in American history. A great man of God, okay? But when he was 19 in 1722, he grew up in Connecticut. But he actually was called to pastor his first church at the age of 19 in New York City. Now, in 1722, New York City only had about 10,000 people. Still pretty large for that area, but only about 10,000, not nearly how it is today. But what he was called to a broken church, a split church. So he was called to pastor one of the split churches, right? And so he knew that this was a huge endeavor. Pastors, anybody in ministry knows, a split church is not pretty, right? There's a lot of heartache. And so as he was on his way, he started making resolutions. He knew, in order for me to get this done, in order for me to be a man of God, I need to start resolving to do good. And so eventually, over that next year, from 1722 to 1723, he made 70 resolutions. And he looked at those resolutions every single day. I'm going to share with you a couple of them. One was resolved never to do anything which I should be afraid to do if it were the last hour of my life. Imagine if we lived that way. That everything you do it as if it's your last hour. He says, resolve that I will live so as I shall wish I had done when I come to die. He experienced this, he said, when he came to deathbeds. He was tired of people in deathbed saying, oh, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. He goes, when I die, I don't want to wish anything. I want to say I did everything the Lord called me to do. He thought about that every single morning. And again, he was just a 19-year-old nobody at this point. Resolved to inquire every night, get this, before I go to bed, whether I have acted in the best way I possibly could with respect to eating and drinking. Every day he goes, did I eat well? This guy was crazy. He studied the Bible 12 hours a day. He said after lunch he would get nappy. Everybody experienced that? You just get tired? He bought special spices that he would eat to keep him awake so he can have the most energy towards his Bible study. This is a devoted man. And it's not because he was trying to earn his salvation, but he put forth the effort. Last resolution I'll share. Resolve never to do anything out of revenge. What's great is that these resolutions came over a year. They happened after he did something bad, right? He did something out of revenge and said, okay, I resolve now never to do anything out of revenge ever again. This man was a sinner. He was repenting, but after his repentance, he resolved to make a difference. How many of us reflect on our life like that? How many of us look at our day and say, okay, here's what I did wrong. I'm going to resolve never to do that thing ever again.